Hello dear listeners, vítám vás u další epizody našeho vašeho podcastu Kamarádi a asi jste si všimli mého netradičního pozdravu, který předznamenává nemilou skutečnost a to, že dnešní podcast se bude odehrávat v angličtině, respektive bude to kombinace English našich hostů a Augustínovi Čenglish, nebo možná i Čenglish našich hostů, no uvidíme. Dnešními hosty totiž není nikdo jiný než můj mnohaletý kamarád a také spolužák, jak jinak v tomto podcastu, Vilík.
Ahoj.
A jeho manželka Betty Blossom. Jedná se o česko-americký manželský pár, žijící střídavě v USA a České republice a právě jejich současnou českou návštěvu jsem využil k pozvání do podcastu, protože jejich názory, zkušenosti a hodnoty jsou velice zajímavé a v našich zeměpisných šířkách občas i trochu nezvyklé. Hello Vilík.
Hello.
Hello Betty.
Hello.
Welcome in our podcast, kamarádi. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you
Alright.
for having us.
OK, takže nebudu dlouho zdržovat a jdeme rovnou na záludné otázky. Zbývá nyní jen zavolat. Let's go!
Let's do it.
Okay, the traditional first question in our podcast is, how did you discover your sexuality? I will start with Vilík because, as far as I know, you are straight cis man from Czech Republic, so I shouldn't expect anything unusual, or should I?
I don't think so. I think I sort of realized it very early. I remember like trying to kiss someone in the preschool. That's one of the first flirtatious dating memories, and I think that it was early because I had older friends on the cottage, and we early started like showing private parts on the cottage and started playing the, what is it called, like a
Spin the bottle.
Oh,
yeah, of course. And I think I got like very quickly interested in it, or it just like it got me excited even when I was like 5 or 6ish years
And
old.
have you always been certain about your heterosexuality, or?
Good question, and I know that you talked about it with other guests. I believe so. I didn't think that I had any doubts in the beginning, but I also think that it's very much based on the society, that I also didn't have a lot of chance to think otherwise.
That's true.
And you said that and more guests said that here, Chris and other people of Czech as well, that they couldn't, they said something that it wouldn't be accepted if they would be bisexual.
I said
or
that
something.
too.
I do remember that our teacher once told us in elementary school that she said like, yeah, some of my friends, they found out when they were like 35 and when they had kids that they are gay. And my thought was like, oh, I hope it's not gonna happen to me, which is really sad and fucked up because it really says a lot about the society, and it also says about how we view that you just like that we view that something that can just happen to you, not something that you are generally born with, and the society more so just like doesn't accept that. So I always felt straight, but I also I didn't think that I would be brave enough ever in my life to open up otherwise.
Interesting. Thank you. I think in Betty's case, I believe the answer can be even more interesting. Betty, how did you discover your sexuality or bisexuality? Tell us about that.
I would define myself as pansexual.
All right.
Which would just be if bisexual was referring to the gender binary, saying that I'm sexually attracted to both men and women. Pansexual would mean that you're attracted to the person rather than anything on that gender binary.
So you don't feel you were influenced by your social norms, that you were raised as a girl? I mean, how did you discover your pansexuality?
Yes, and I would have considered myself, and I did consider myself bisexual from the beginning, as soon as I started exploring my sexuality. Definitely societally influenced. It wasn't until later till I heard the term pansexual that I said, oh, well, hey, that's me. That's definitely me. And it felt good to have something to say. Yep, that's how I identify. Let's see. At a young age, probably around 10, even younger, I just always had exposure to queer community around me. I was in a queer theater when I was younger. So I think that is a big part of it, that I always resonated with the queer community and enjoyed the queer community. I found them just vibrant and unusual and brave. And also, whenever you're exposed to more queer people, at least in my case, as a young age, there's nothing unusual about it. I knew gay women, gay men. And then by the time high school came around, my high school had a club that was a gay straight alliance where all the queer kids can get together and hang out. And I loved that.
That's fascinating, because it sounds like your society was very open-minded even in 90s.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like 90s in the Czech Republic to us.
Well, I definitely knew that these people faced challenges that straight people wouldn't face, that they often had difficulties with their family, were treated differently from their community and the world around us. So they still face struggles, and you knew that. But the idea of recognizing their love for each other, or them having an intimate relationship with someone, seeing it from a young age, I just never saw it as something unusual. And I do think it's a different experience as a woman, because a lot of things that I saw, things we see in film, societal messages you receive, nothing really is as shameful towards women liking other women, because it can be desirable for men.
Yeah.
It's hot. Girls kissing girls are hot. All the movies you see, like, oh man.
I see.
So it's more of you. It's easy. You don't think of it being as shameful.
So you have never had a problem with your family telling you that it's not okay that you are attracted to girls or something like that?
No. Oh. I actually even had friends later in life, people who were friends my whole life, say like, oh, I didn't know, in my 20s. And I was like, oh yeah.
Interesting.
I've definitely had sex with women. yeah.
Nice.
They said it didn't even come up. They always knew that I was a part of the queer community, but they wouldn't know that I would define myself. I didn't really have a coming out process as much as I had a
I see.
coming with women also process. There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a very fascinating topic, but we have a lot of topics we have to go through tonight, so let's switch to another one. And it's a relatively controversial question, I'd say. At first glance, it is obvious that you are in advanced stage of pregnancy.
Yeah.
And expecting your second child. In both cases, you chose to give birth at home. And I don't mean at home like in the United States, but at home in your house and not in a hospital. Can you say something about your decision to choose this path, which is considered by many people in the Czech Republic to be a huge risk? There are even voices often heard calling for a ban of home birth and stuff like that.
Yeah. Man voices,
Really? I mean, even my, I don't know, like colleagues at work, for instance, like older women, let's say conservative women,
I can see that.
would say the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, my experience, I would think that would come from fear and a lot of different connections and attachment to the medical world. My choice to birth at home, there's a lot to say around that. I believe it's the just most natural thing that you could do, that your body knows everything how to do. And there's so many things with how we've developed, especially in the Western world and with Western medicine, that would take away from that natural process. So there's a lot of interference. There's a lot of risk assessment and things that are taken away from liability rather than connecting with, I mean, what do I say? Womanhood with.
Did you have a discussion before that? I mean, did you consider hospital or at first?
Well, for me, the first thing is that it's definitely her choice. You know,
yeah,
that is
that's a good
choice.
point.
Like it's her body; she should feel as comfortable as possible. I am there to support her, but I very much agreed with that, and so my voice with that, someone compare that or use this good example, like when she's talking about how natural it is. We've been doing that for hundreds of thousands of years, and we always did it in certain conditions, and the conditions are not met in the hospital at all. If you are imagining throughout the evolution how it was usually in some next to the fire, in some like cozy place, in family surroundings, in loving environment, and not the hospitals are very like tense and crazy environment. And it's the comparison that I was talking about, someone compared it to coming, some woman. Like, can you imagine that you would be in the room and you would be having sex and you were supposed to your body should feel relaxed and you should come, and every 5 minutes someone would come and some doctor would check on you,
And poke on you and say, you can't sit this way.
You can sit this way. And
Yeah, there's a lot of things around limiting your movement. You're hooked up in all of these ways. And I think you hear these stories of these long, horrendous births. And
But there are also the stories of complications, like complicated home births.
Yeah,
so I can say about it as well. The not doulas, what's the midwives, they are professionals. It's not like that they don't have a education in what's necessary. They have practice and education, and they go through many births before they can be there officially as a midwife. So they can do probably up to 98% of issues that can happen. They can figure it out there. And if there is anything that is more risky, they know exactly when you should go to the hospital. Everyone is ready for that. There is also legislation around that you cannot have risky delivery home. If it's considered risky, if there is something wrong with the baby, if it's upside down or anything, then you have to go to the hospital.
Okay.
There are many, it's in many ways, even in legislation, it's very safe, and they are really good professionals, the midwives, that know exactly what they are doing. And they would just go to the hospital in worst case scenario.
I see.
I also got really into reading different birth stories, being pregnant the first time. It's attached to my spirituality, to my beliefs around the natural world, my connection to the natural world. We both have interests in indigenous cultures, tribal cultures, a lot of these different things. So I got really excited about it, and I read a lot of birth stories of people birthing at home, birthing communities. I just got so into it. And there's a lot of things about different complications and different things that happen. But it's my belief that we're really capable of so much. And
you felt safe.
I felt safe, yeah. And I felt excited.
I felt safe there, and it was my first birth, and I love her, and I wanted to be there, and I would think that I would be scared, and I wasn't scared at all. I felt safe for her the whole time.
And a lot of it is education. If you have education, or you know what to expect around birth, and there's so much more that I can learn too, but a lot of us don't, and so you just go into this world waiting to find out, scared that something will go wrong, wanting to make sure that you're aware. The doctor can tell you if something goes wrong. The doctor's ready to tell you all of these things that can go wrong, and do all of the liability assessment And, you've got a lot of places with C-sections, 60-70% of births coming out C-sections.
True. In States, yeah.
In the States, and different places.
But I think the percentage of C-sections in States is much higher than in Europe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was another reason I wanted to point it out too, how fucked up it is in States, because many decisions are made, by profit and money, and I don't trust these institutions.
Yeah.
And just the number of C-section is really, saying it all, that it's really fucked up system.
It's done even in the situations when it's not necessary.
And exactly, and they make the safe choice when it's not necessary. And another important reason, that's my last point, is how important it is for the baby to be born in this natural environment. So when you are healthily born, then all of the mammals, all of the other animals, the mama holds you. There is connection between the mama and baby. There is certain chemical response in your brain that is happening, that there is healthy amount of dopamine, and you are coming into the world, into the safe place. And it really affects you for the rest of your life, because it affects how your brain will keep developing the first experience. And we just, in the hospital, it's like that we are not aware of that, because we don't care about it. Because what happens is, like, here is the body, and you take them and you bring them somewhere to weigh them. They are not with the mom. It's just like, I'm not saying that they are not mean, but the system doesn't consider how important it is to bond the baby with the mother immediately. And every brain, neurology expert will tell you that it's important moment in their life for the healthy brain development. So that's really taken away from the hospital environment.
And every part of it. I mean, even as much as what gets on your baby if it comes out vaginally. Things that are wiped away with all this and that disinfectant.
Oh yeah, there was like a yellow thing, and it just, you don't even know that it's there, and you just don't clean it because it's healthy. It stays there. It protects their skin on the beginning, and it's healthy. And in
and they just
hospital,
leave our house. They left our house. They're just like, okay, you did it, and then we're just at our house alone, and we're like, okay.
5 hours after the birth, we are there alone. Like, what are we doing?
Our beautiful baby. But I think a shorter way to say it after all of this would be the medical world treats birthing differently. It doesn't have focus on connection, on all of these like beautiful, really sacred elements of childbirth, and it's more towards risk assessment.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your answers. And now I would like to move to some other topics. Let's talk about cultural differences. Vilík, I have a question for you. Have you experienced any cultural shock when you moved to United States? And Betty, you can prepare your cultural shocks in the Czech Republic.
When I moved there, I was really excited, and it looks all really nice, like the environment looks fancy. In the south, the people are really kind, and you walk on daily basis contact, they are really nice to you. You go to grocery store and they are asking you how you are and where you're from and stuff like that, and it feels really welcoming and nice. But then when I lived there longer, I just realized how sort of fucked up that is, that it all should look like that. The society is meant to look so beautiful and successful because it's covering the deeper problems of the society. So it's the shock, not right away, but after some time I lived there, is really how much the system doesn't care about helping people, how the
I think your
medical
issues
world
are with the establishment, not so much the people. The
Oh
people
yeah,
are
absolutely.
Still kind.
No, the
places
people are
still nice.
The people are still kind. We have nice friends. I love my friends there.
I think it's a very good example because here in Czech Republic we consider United States as the richest nation, the best country ever, which is in many ways. However, the welfare policies we are used to here are very different, and United States is the pure capitalism, and
yeah.
someone who moves there from socialistic Europe, air quotes, might be surprised by real capitalism. For instance,
yeah.
in healthcare.
Yeah, I mean the healthcare, you know, the system is the what I'm talking about. But
Another example, like here, it's normal that women after the birth stay at home for 3 years with the child. What's the standard time in the United States?
6 weeks.
6 weeks.
And there's a huge trauma around that. I had other people ask me, like, can you feel the trauma from being separated from their children so young? And I remember answering kind of like, well, obviously it's there, but I wouldn't be able to recognize it because I don't know anything different. And then now as I learn more about trauma and child bringing up, and then of course it's awful.
What about your cultural shock in the Czech Republic?
Oh.
Maybe the first time you visited here, or maybe when you moved here. That's different, right?
Oh, I could go more into stuff in the United States.
It can be good things, bad things, you know, something different, something you were not used to.
Yeah.
What surprised you?
Well, when I came here the first time, I was traveling long term. I was traveling for about a year, mostly around Europe. We ended in South America. But when I came here, I had met a lot of people who were willing to kind of just pass us around. Like, you can stay on our couch. You can stay on our couch.
Couch surfing is something different, something you wouldn't experience in States, or, I mean, I'm asking about the shock, cultural shock, something you were surprised by in the Czech Republic.
Yeah. So it's coming because my first time here, I was in a different experience where you're just sort of open and eager to learn about everything for an extended period of time. Moving here, a shock I had would be in my experience of not understanding the language. That's my personal experience, though. It's not a culture shock. After living here longer, I feel more culture shock when we go home to the States than we come back home here. So it wasn't necessarily experienced the first time, even my first years living here. But now, coming back, I can feel, oh, these are Czech things and these are American things, and you can really feel the difference.
Give us an example of Czech things.
Oh, goodness.
Because we don't know what's a Czech thing, right?
I feel like that I can say better for you. Maybe you can, give
Go ahead.
Better for me. But the amount of drinking and especially shots here, it's like what they got involved in this group of people that parties a lot, and the amount of shots they drink and the way they told them fuck you when they refused shot.
You disrespect our culture.
You disrespect our culture. You will have the shot.
Yeah, but I was always
Another
drinking
thing,
a
our
lot.
faces in post office or grocery stores.
Yeah.
I remember you being always, that they are just like unhappy faces a lot in Czech Republic.
There's definitely more of a grouchiness. I feel really hesitant to say. I feel even embarrassed to say.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying that.
That was a cultural shock for me when I was in the United States, how good the service is in the restaurants and bars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's, wow, uncomparable.
So maybe I would have the other way of just like, why is everyone upset? Why are they upset at me? Or I have the experience of using second language poorly and getting met with a lot of frustration. But I hate to give that as the example because there's a lot of beautiful things I love here. So it feels like asking for...
Okay, I will be more specific in my next question. We are a podcast mainly about sex and relationships. So can you name some differences in dating and in relationships between women and men in the US and in the Czech Republic, or even between man and women and women, and actually also between non-binary people, or between non-binary and binary people?
Yeah.
In short, differences in dating, Czech Republic versus United States.
It's hard to say differences in dating between Czech and the United States. I definitely have more of a queer community around me in the States.
That's a good example, yeah. The queer community for sure is not that big here, or not that visible, let's say.
I mean, the place where we live, it's less than 200,000 people. It's like smaller Brno, you know, or not even half of that. And
In the States?
yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and there are just it feels like the community is there, and there are many queer places around town, you know, not only the theater but also restaurant where it's very queer open and such, which is not here. I don't know any place here in our small central Bohemian town.
Anonymous.
No.
I think that it would still be a different experience for a woman and a man in Czech Republic also. For example, like me as a queer woman, I could flirt with women. I can approach women. And it would be differently than if I were a queer man now living in Czech Republic. I might be met differently if I were to try to flirt with or approach a man.
Totally. Yeah.
Because it goes back to that. There's not as much shame around women, even women who wouldn't identify as queer or bisexual or pansexual. They would still kind of usually be open or into it because, oh, what a hot idea.
Exactly.
I'm down, you
On
know.
high school,
and men don't have that luxury here.
If two ladies would be kissing on high school or, you know, when we were teenagers, it would be so, you know, viewed as so cool. And if it would be
they're open.
They're open and that's so cool. And if it would be two guys, they would be bullied, you know.
That's true. Definitely.
Yeah.
However, the times has changed, and I believe that nowadays, even to guys for younger generation is okay, even in the Czech Republic. What do you think?
I hope so. You know, if it's changing, then I'm happy about it. But obviously not enough, because there is still hate feedback from the society sometimes about like when the queer people rights are discussed, you know, when we talk about marriage, for example, like now we passed something and it's still not close to being equal at all.
True. Yeah.
And it's just because we have so many conservative voices.
And the discussion's different than in the States. Like, even if we have a lot of conservative voices in the States, even how we would discuss queer community and LGBTQ community, not even close. Even the conservatives wouldn't come out and quite send the hate that's sent in Czech Republic. Very open, kind of just like, that's wrong. Our conservatives might think it's wrong, but they won't say it out loud.
But in general, like other dating differences, you know, I thought about it too, and I don't know what's
This is a question for you.
For me, I don't know. I
haven't gone on any date in Czech Republic.
Yeah, I mean, it leads me to another topic, open marriage and polyamory. Something to say about that?
No, what would you like? I have a lot to say about that. Is there...
I mean, like, do you have an open marriage? Because that's something no one knows here. I mean, can imagine, but I don't know anyone else who would consider their marriage or even a relationship as open. It's very rare.
Yeah, we have an open marriage. We encourage connection with other people, sexually, platonic, anything. You wouldn't want to limit any sort of connection that our partner would have with anyone. We are both open to having sex with others, together, separately, to having friendships with others. It's sort of, we're in an open marriage.
Well, and how would you define polyamory? How do you feel about this word? Because, I mean, to me, maybe I don't perceive it correctly, but to me it means like to be in love with more people. And that's different to have more sexual relationships.
I would have a feeling that there's not a limit to how much love we can have for other people. Yeah, I guess it's my feeling that stopping your partner from loving other people doesn't encourage them to love you more, you know. It's where there's not a threat, then you would only encourage connection and even be excited about it. I guess the same way you're friends with my partner, would him wanting to have sex with someone else affect your friendship in any way?
I guess the idea is that there is unlimited love, you know, and that you can, and that it also, the old school conservative rules doesn't really take away any of your cravings or feelings or thoughts. It just makes you not share them and not be honest about them, you know, or shut them down. So this, I was
Or feel
actually
shame.
very
Shame,
jealous on the beginning of our relationship, but this it's almost like even easier, and it feels like that I can, you know, it promotes trust. Definitely. Like there is it promotes and supports deeper connection that we have, that we can talk about these things and be open about these things, and then you feel like you can be genuine and honest, and you can share your thoughts, and it brings you closer. And it's also when it's you know, when it's open, then I don't know, you might want to break out the rules less, you know, even that, because you don't feel so like you don't feel that you are, you know, pushing down any of your thoughts or feelings. You're just open to meet people and see if anything happens, and you're not then it doesn't come up in any shitty, unnatural way, I guess.
Yeah. And I think a lot of the usual relationship models will create a lot of feelings inside of you of I should be feeling this way, or I shouldn't be feeling this way. And it's just a space for shame. And I guess if you want a liberated love, this is my goal, a liberated relationship. You want it authentic, you want it free. And you don't really need to possess one another as much as you want to share a life and friendship with one another. And him being excited by somebody can excite me too. You can say, oh, really? Did you? And then what happened? And you also don't have to tell me everything that happened, you know?
It's just you know, random story about that. But recently she asked me, like, you know, there are just not that many people in our, and we are busy parenting, so we don't have a lot of time to meet people. So there are just not a lot of people that we were considering as like inviting to be with us or be sexual with us, and
Together.
Yeah. And I just mentioned, I thought, you know, I thought about this lady. It just came to my mind one time because she's just like really kind and honest and fun and beautiful. And I just mentioned that, and then 2 days later we went on the breakfast with her without me like saying anything. She's just like, we are going to the breakfast with this, you know, I can say the name, or can I say the name? I guess
Don't
I
say
should.
the name.
Yeah.
Okay. So was it like coincidence or?
No, I just mentioned that she just invited her, you know. I was like,
It's like, did you invite her because I said
you
that?
just
And I was
invited her so quickly.
Perfect wife.
There we go.
Yeah, you dirty dog.
Ah.
Nice. Okay, that's very interesting, but we have to move to another topic.
Okay.
Your daughter is still in preschool age, but I already know that you don't want to send your children to standard public school, which is, again, quite controversial statement. What do you mean by that, and what are the alternatives to normal elementary schools here in the Czech Republic and in the United States?
Okay. If I'm thinking, what do I mean by traditional schooling, I guess?
Like, what do you mean by the fact that you don't want to send your kid to standard school?
Yeah.
Or public school?
Public school.
Yeah.
I don't think it's...
Because here it's barely legal not to, you know what I mean. Vilík knows much more about that, but I think that most of the society thinks that you have to send your kid to the elementary school.
Yeah.
I think limiting how we learn and how we educate children is dangerous.
Yeah.
To
Yeah,
say
yeah.
it only has to look this way.
Yeah.
That's what. Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
No.
I just wanted to say that that's what you are here for, to
Yeah.
explain to our listeners
Yeah.
what are their options, because maybe they think that's the only option.
So it's
Yeah.
not.
It's not.
If I can. So it's. I don't believe that it's efficient way how to teach, because we have again, from our evolution, how we were developed, how we survived. We have natural gift and need and craving to learn. And it comes so easy when there is the when there is the interest to learn, and it doesn't come easy when someone tells you to learn about something that you are not interested in. I heard interesting sentence that if we would if we would put babies to school to learn how to walk, then in 2 generations we would think that they are unable to learn how to walk by themselves. So that's
So many things.
so
like
many
that.
things like and maybe through this I can get into the specific ways, which is Montessori or Summerhill or unschooling. All of these alternatives, even though they are different, they have one in common thing, and that's inner motivation, self-motivation, and that it's important for healthy brain development and for healthy life in future, so that you can be self-motivated, happy individual who just wants to naturally learn things that they are interested in. And so they create environments. In Montessori it's not fully free. You still have certain things that you have to learn in certain amount of time. You can just choose when you focus on what. But Summerhill is just like you follow your natural desires, and through that you are learning about what you're interested in. And there was some study that you learn something through play 50 times faster and easier than when you're doing that when someone tells you to do that. I just don't think that the old school that as we know it is very efficient. Was it necessary 200 years ago? Was it the only way? Probably it was, but now
Someone
we
had
have
to create a system.
someone created system, but
And
now
the
we
system
have
is shit.
yeah, but now we have enough enough the quality of life is already on such a level that we can deeper think about these things, and we can do it more efficiently and mainly in healthier way for the kids to be happy and self-motivated individuals.
And when you're excited about learning things, there's even the matter of what you're learning. I mean, you have the same, at least in the United States, you have main 4 fields of study. You choose your electives. But the format of how you learn, you go in, you progress. This year you're supposed to learn this. This year you're supposed to learn this. I think it can even slow down what you learn a lot of the time, and a space that you have to sit still and be quiet, and nothing is individualized. Nothing is about a unique, intelligent individual who has the capacity to learn and explore so many different things. So it puts you into a box. It says you should be at this level. It says you should learn these things at this time. I think it's really limiting.
Exactly, that's
Yeah.
true. Someone said if you judge fish based on how it can climb trees, it will always think that it's stupid. We should be looking and finding the authentic unique things that are in people, because everyone is different and everyone is talented and beautiful, and everyone is talented in different ways. And if you put them and judge them in this old school way, that's another thing that I didn't even say, the grades. That's so fucked up, because the kids who are talented for different things, they will leave feeling like that they are less than the other people, and then they will carry this bad feeling
Their
for
identity,
to their identity. So
Okay. And how about homeschooling? Do you feel competent to do it, or you wouldn't be the teacher, or how does it work?
Yeah, I mean, we're on a journey of finding our network. Ideally, in my ideal situation, we would have a community of people. We would use resources within and outside of our community. It wouldn't be a sole responsibility. And I think there are more and more networks of people connecting who have the same desires for their children. It does feel like a lot to decide everything my child's going to learn is going to be through me. So even if that can be a fear or something that feels intimidating, I don't think that's the reality. I think what you're doing more, or what we're going for more, is looking for spaces that our children are thriving and finding resources to support who they are and their well-being before anything else. And I think there are a lot of resources for that.
The education comes after the well-being. You know, if you support the well-being, then there is then you have bigger chance of healthy growth and education for the kids, because they will be well enough to even educate themselves. That's another thing. Other
Natural
than the community, like my idea would be unschooling, meaning we would be home, we would be following projects. You don't have to be the only one who teaches. You can have community friends. We can visit you. You are specialized, you know about something. We have a day with you. We learn something from you. We can go to museums. We can go to travel. You know, you can be outside learning
My question is,
nature.
Is it even legal in the Czech Republic? I mean, let's imagine your daughter is already 6 years old. You know, you live here. How would you do it? I mean, you wouldn't sign her for a normal school, or
No. I would like the combination of unschooling and Summerhill, because Summerhill is so free that you pretty much don't have to go there. So the idea would be that for our kids there would be school that they could go to if they would want to, if they would want to have, you know, the community. And I can imagine that they would go few times a week probably. And the way it's done in Czech Republic, and I believe it's similar in States, is that you just have to once in a year to go to some session with someone, and you have to prove that they learned something throughout the year. And it's doable, because I mean, I really just don't think that the kids in school are really learning anything much. You know, you're just listening, you're memorizing something that you will forget anyways because you didn't really give a shit about it
It
before.
also squashes your natural desire to want to learn, to be excited about something. You know, it tells you, learn when I tell you to learn. Learn this. You're told exactly what to do the whole time.
Yeah.
You're numb and you're just going through the process, and
Yeah.
you're socializing. You're not excited about it.
It's well said. It's numbing, you know, and then you continue, then you finish your school, and then you will do the same. You will find your job that you don't really like,
And you
but you will
kinda-
just numb yourself, and you will distract yourself with other things. It doesn't seem a good start for healthy, fulfilled life.
Yeah. And you don't view school as fun and engaging as something you want to do. Like, we want our child to go to the school if there's something there that's engaging them. Otherwise, we want to provide things that are engaging and exciting for them, because the belief being that learning and developing is natural.
Yeah. One more thing. The old school way, it's limiting the potential because you are learning only within your age group. But if you look again about the history and how we would learn throughout the evolution naturally, you learn from all of the ages. All of the ages are not learning, but they are also teaching. And everyone has different experience, you know, in the hunt-gatherer communities or in the indigenous communities. It's like that still in the indigenous communities that exist. And here you just have one age group, and your potential of knowledge and learning is limited to this age.
And whoever decided that is the pace at which you should learn. And a lot of it is to be pushed out. I'm speaking from an American perspective always, to an industrialized society, to say you get out, you're at this point, and then you choose a field and you enter the workforce. So a lot of things revolve around that, including how we educate our kids. So you don't want to go to school, but you go anyway. So you don't equate learning to something exciting and engaging. It's something that you need to do. And then later you choose a career, something that you need to do, but you don't really want to, but that's just life, right? You got to decide something. And then you work in something and you have the work that you do, and then you have the things that you like to do, a fraction of the time that you spend on the other. So.
Okay, thank you very much again. We are getting close to the end of this episode. However, one more thing I would like to ask you to tell us your story, your love story, the short version, please, because it's amazing. You know, how did you guys meet?
In a bar.
In a bar. Okay, that's not that amazing, that original. But what followed?
I mean, how it was before then, maybe, because the coincidence is a big one. But they decided, Betty and her brother, that they will travel for 6 months to a year around Europe, and they didn't care where they will go. And the cheapest plane tickets were to
That
Dublin.
is not the short version.
It's important though.
It's not.
You know? And okay, so short. In Dublin, you can edit it later. But in Dublin, they got into couch surfing. They stayed and slept in lady's house that is from. So she invited them. That was the reason.
Cut all that out.
Oh
You
my
go ahead
God,
and cut all
yeah.
that out.
Okay.
Yeah. To our hometown, you know, because our hometown is not very touristical. We don't get any
Yeah.
tourists, especially not from
That's what I meant.
America. You know, so
Okay,
it was
just
like.
cut it off. God damn. I am always so excited
That
about
was
this.
super
You know,
rude.
it was meant to be.
But you know, I mean, that's just the beginning. But what happened after is even more fascinating. You know, like the way you got engaged.
Yeah.
So wait,
I was backpacking with my brother. We were traveling long term. We met someone in our travels who told us about Carlo Vivari Film Festival. I had studied film before. We decided we met in England, and not in England, in Ireland, in Dublin. Decided we would meet up again come summer. She
Okay.
was from here.
Yeah.
And yeah, so we came and we met up again in our travels, and she was taking us around, and
she
I
took them
met-
to the bar first night here in this town, and I
Yeah.
was there. And it was the bar that I used to own with my ex-girlfriend, coincidentally. And I met my future wife there. It was like it was meant to me. And then we just talked for 3 hours, and I didn't have a good English back then. And we still
we
talked.
didn't say much.
And then I invited them to our family cottage because there was party the next day. It was Friday that we met, and Saturday we had party. And then we just like started sort of dating here, but like seeing each other. And then they had to leave because they had to leave Schengen, so they left to Croatia, and I visited her like 2 times, and it was just so good. And the first time I left from Croatia, it was just so sad that I felt like that I didn't want to be without her, and it was really started getting serious. And then I proposed her, and we got engaged in
And-
Croatia.
Yeah. And we hadn't really even spent so much time together at that point. I think we would.
How long, Kat? It's
I think there was months of time there, but days together it was like 16.
16 days. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, 16 days together since meeting each other for the first time.
And
Like
getting
physically,
engaged
60 days,
physically.
you know? Like,
And-
it was
Yeah.
probably
And I
2-3
do mean
months.
physically.
Of
Yeah.
course. Like physically, 16 days physically from meeting to getting engaged.
Yes. And I actually was not open to romantic relationships or commitment or anything like that, but it was exciting. This one brought it out of me and made me feel brave and excited to just do it. Said, Fuck yeah. Let's
So
do
we did
it.
it.
Nice.
So I messed up their trip, and instead of them continuing to new countries, they came back to Czech Republic to meet my family. And then she came back third time to just get married before she was
I
returning
said, I'll be
home.
right back. I'm just going to go get
So
married.
she left from
and I was
States,
back.
and then she came 11 months later, home married, you know.
That's amazing. Okay, guys, thank you again for coming. It has been a pleasure to talk with you here, and hopefully see you soon again.
Thank you for having us. It was fun.
Okay.
Bye!
Bye.